one of the portions there from Genesis 15 you mentioned, I wonder if we should just say a few more words about it. That's Genesis 15:6. Abraham believed God and it was counted to him as righteousness. Now, why is that so important and how is that used in the New Testament?
Yeah, that's the whole foundation of salvation, really, because Paul uses that in Romans 4 as an example of justification by faith over against justification by works, which is what the Judaizers were pushing. And so Romans 4 and then Galatians, also the whole, works versus grace is talked about by the Apostle Paul. So Abraham is used by an example of justification by faith, that we're justified, declared righteous by God, not on the basis of works, but on the basis of God's grace, faith.
That is striking, isn't it? The way that Abraham from the Old Testament is used as an example of faith and justification for New Testament believers.
That's right, which means Old Testament believers are saved the same way the New Testament believers are. Of course, they're saved by believing in the promises that God has made, and then the sacrificial system is given. And of course, they'd bring a sacrifice, and they would believe that God would forgive them of their sins as they bring that sacrifice. So faith really is the foundation, even in the Old Testament.
Now, the passage you mentioned earlier from Genesis 3, the seed of the woman,
Mhm.
you've got this two lines of families that emerge in Genesis, which can be a sort of theme that help you get your mind around Genesis. Can you
Yeah.
explain the seed of the woman and the seed of the serpent, and how you see that emerge in these two conflicting family lines in Genesis?
Yeah, the seed of the woman is referring to someone will come from the seed of the woman, the line of the woman, Eve. And in Genesis 4, you do have a division of these two lines. You remember Cain murders Abel, and because of that, Cain is separated from the rest of the family, and he goes in a different direction. And I think here you have the separation of the two lines. So you have Seth replacing Abel, and you have the godly line. It's called the godly line and the ungodly line. The godly line, of course, the ungodly line is described in Genesis 4. The godly line is picked up in a genealogy from Adam to Noah. And then from Noah, you have Shem, one of Noah's sons, um, double genealogy before the Tower of Babel and then after the Tower of Babel. That line of Shem runs to Abraham. And then, of course, you have Abraham's family. Isaac is there, but Jacob takes up much more space than Isaac does. And then Joseph at the end. That's the line. And you even begin to learn some things about this one who is promised. Even in the genealogy in Genesis 5, Noah's father is mentions that could this be the one who will deliver us from the curse? Noah has a role to play. He's not the ultimate one. But then you learn in Genesis, it's 40, 48, 49, 48, I think it is, in Jacob's prophecy, if you will, about the future of the tribes, you learn that it's the tribe of Judah from which a king will come. So you begin to learn more about this individual that's going to come from the line of this godly line, and that continues to develop. And Christ is the ultimate one who comes, and of course, he defeats Satan, sin, hell, and death, and all of that. When he comes to die on the cross. All of that is sort of laid out in beginning in the book of Genesis.